Hello everyone and welcome back to Car and Bike. I'm Bilal and this is the BYD Sealion 7. It is the newest offering from BYD in India and it was first showcased at the Bharat Mobility Expo just a few weeks ago. Now, as the name suggests, the Sealion is part of the Ocean series similar to the Seal sedan, and it is the electric SUV derivative of the sedan actually, and it's here to give some sleepless nights not just to some other electric SUVs but to also the premium German luxury SUVs actually. And we are in a beautiful pink city to drive it, so stick around as we answer your questions about how it looks, how's the cabin like, what are the features that are on offer, and why it is something to look forward to if you're in the market to buy a luxury SUV, even if it's an electric. But before we go ahead, you know the drill. It's like, share and subscribe to the Car and Bike YouTube channel if you haven't already.
Get down in the car, one time give it all, bust it open hard, let me see you drop.
Now we begin with the styling first, and when it comes to the styling and the design, the Sealion 7 it shares a lot of traits with its saloon sister, the Seal, because both of them are from the Ocean series as I mentioned earlier. But when it comes to the Sealion 7, it has this very futuristic BYD design language with this very angular and very sharp looking headlamps which extend a DRL lower down. But you look closely and the signature inside, it reminds me of those angel lamps that you used to see or you actually see on the modern day BMW. It looks quite aggressive actually, which isn't the case with the Seal. But you look up front, it has a larger proportions. The bumpers are aggressive with the air inlet placed lower down, and the overall proportions or the styling of the Sealion 7, it does grab attention on the road. But move to the side and it's here where you'll notice the interesting bits about the Sealion 7. First up, it rides on 20-inch of alloy wheels with a multi-spoke design. It does really gel well with the overall proportions of the car. Now this one, let me give you the dimension. It is just a bit longer and just a bit wider than the GLC. The GLC is slightly taller, but this one it is bigger than the GLC and 3 meters of wheelbase. But the interesting part is the flush fitting door handles and a taller girth. Now the ground clearance, it's definitely better than the Seal sedan. So people who didn't buy the Seal sedan for that one reason, so now they have another option since the Seal didn't give them enough ground clearance and they had to adopt a normal ICE powertrain. Now the Sealion 7, it does definitely solve that problem. But more importantly, the talking point of the Sealion 7 has to be its profile. This is a coupe SUV, and the C-pillar, you will definitely admire this design language. It has a nice profile and it looks quite handsome on the road. And at the back, it is again a similar story to the Seal because you get connected tail lamp design which is sleek and futuristic, very similar to the sedan, and it has those interesting lighting signature as well. Lower down you have a sculpted bumper with a cladding to give it that SUV appeal, but one important design aspect that I personally love are the dual spoilers. Now what you have here is the boot mounted lip spoiler that is a bit ducktail design, but I love this spacious or the aerodynamically placed roof mounted spoiler. It is something that you usually see in a proper race car. That element itself, it gives this Sealion 7 actually, not the Seal. The Seal is a sedan. The Sealion 7, a very sporty appeal at the back. Now there are 4 color options. There's blue, grey, white and black. Now black definitely looks more mafia and very handsome looking. White is more subdued. Grey is more subtle. What color would you have to specify your Sealion 7 in? Let us know in the comment section below. Also let us know what do you think about the overall styling and how does it fare against other cars, especially in this segment. And now we come to the cabin, and the cabin, like all BYD cars, they have a familiar story. But let me tell you that the door, it has that good mechanical thud to it that you usually associate with very premium luxury cars. And the design, the overall design and the layout of the cabin, the material used all around, it's again very top notch. The material, they have a luxurious feel to it. It has a very premiumness when you feel them, and they also have that built to last feeling as well, which is a good thing to have in your car. especially when it's not German. But there's also some quirkiness thrown all around the cabin, which is the BYD's story. So you have this door opener which is integrated into the panel, and it is quite funky. And then we move on to the dashboard, which is frankly a bit boring actually. It is good, nice, clean layout, but I wish this panel, which is taken or copied from Mercedes, it had a more pizzazz to it. Now pizzazz is added. Let me remind you that pizzazz is added by adding ambient lighting on the passenger side. But the driver side, it has a squarish driver's display, which could do with more design because it is very squarish. It has a lot of information on offer, but I wish it was slightly bigger and well laid out because there's a lot of negative space in there. Now the party piece of this rotating touchscreen, it's definitely good, and but more importantly, people would be using it in this layout, not the vertical one, because more specifically the phone integration like the Android Auto and the Apple CarPlay, they only work in this orientation, not in vertical. Now the interface here, it's very familiar to the one you see in the Seal, but it has been updated slightly. The software, it's more smooth, it's more intuitive, and the icons, they are more colorful and they have more smoothness to them. You move to the center console and you have a familiar center console that you see in the Seal as well. You have buttons in the center with this crystal layout for the gear lever. There are buttons around it for brake energy regeneration, drive modes, AC control, and even volume rocker. And more importantly, on the center console, you get this wireless charging pad. Now this wireless charging pad, it has a nice layout to it. It has Alcantara-like finish, and I really like how you, in a modern day EV, you get the phone placement properly, because in older conventional cars, the phone was an afterthought. Here, the entire thing is planned around keeping your smartphone. Now there's more practical cubby hole under the driver's armrest, a proper cup holder, and a large bottle holder in the door pads, and a glove box as well. Now as for the seats, they are large, comfortable, but they don't get adjustable headrests. They are like sports seats or a bucket seats. They hug you in the right places, and the overall sense of space up front, it's very large and comfortable. It feels quite airy. The A-pillar has, it's not too thick, and the visibility all around is great, especially on the mirrors and the up front. But I have one big complaint. The rear visibility is not that great. The rear windscreen, it's very narrow. It's the narrowest windscreen I've seen in any SUV. I've seen smaller ones in some smaller cars like say Mini Cooper, but here in a big SUV like the Sealion 7, that rear visibility is a complete no-no. It is expected because it is a coupe SUV. The C-pillar, it's quite thick, and the visibility at the back is not that great for newer drivers, and especially parking this car in an urban jungle. Now before we talk about the second row space, there are two things I want to address first. Now the first thing is, for any coupe SUV, there's always a problem of it looking like an afterthought. And I'm sure not many people would disagree with me when I say that this Sealion 7, it doesn't look like an afterthought for its coupe-like design. And secondly, the second problem with a coupe SUV is the space that is on offer in the second row. Now when I get inside, as you can see, this is a coupe SUV, and there's still loads of headroom for my frame. More so, it's helped by this large panoramic sunroof, which doesn't open, but it's a glass roof, and it adds to the overall space, the sense of space inside the second row. There is ample amount of legroom. There's also good amount of space for 3 people actually over here. It might be a slightly tight fit, but actually you can fit in 3 people without any problem. The shoulder line, it is tall. The windows, they are still big enough. There's also a third quarter window. Might not be really useful, but it is quite there. And overall, if I want to spend say 500 kilometers over here in the second row space, I actually wouldn't mind. And if I have to spend 500 kilometers, I might be traveling with my family to some distant location. And for that, there's almost 500 liters of boot space despite this being a coupe SUV. So this is a good point for the Sealion 7. It is one of the highlights of the Sealion 7, and that will definitely attract a lot of buyers in my opinion.
Let me see you drive. I fucked up this Russell, we hustle, what the oh my.
Now behind the wheel of the Sealion 7, but let me get the specification out of the way first. Now internationally you get 2 battery options, but in India you only get 1. It is the 82 kilowatt hour battery pack, which is the same one which you get in the bigger versions of the Seal as well. Now this one, it is available with both versions, the rear wheel drive and the all wheel drive powertrain. Now in the rear wheel drive you get a single motor setup which is mounted on the rear axle. It has an output of around 330 bhp. It can do 0 to 100 in 6.7 seconds. But this one, the faster version that we are driving here, it has two motors, making it an all-wheel drive setup. The 0 to 100 km per hour time of this faster version is just 4.5 seconds. That's why there's a badge at the back that says 4.5. What a way to brag, right? Now this one, it has around 520 bhp of combined power output, and the range-wise, both the versions, they have a similar claim figures. Now the rear-wheel drive version, it has around 567 kilometers of claim range, while this one, it has 547. Now this is under NEDC cycle, which means realistically this LFP blade battery from BYD, it could easily do 500 kilometers between charges. And that is expected because BYD, they have been making batteries before they've started making cars actually. Secondly, this electric setup of this Sealion 7, we have experience in the Seal. In the sedan, it feels completely different. You said quite low slung, the acceleration is quick, and it is more of a driver's car. Here in the Sealion 7, it is still fairly quick. The acceleration is pretty brisk, if not neck-snappingly quick. You do get good linear power delivery. It's not exactly, as I said, it won't push you in your seat or punch you in the gut, but the acceleration is smooth, it's easy. The controls are light and comfortable. The steering, it's pretty light actually. It does go 2.5 turns lock to lock though, which means it is direct, it is quick, but it's not exactly made to be a driver's car. The entire visibility, it's good, but as I mentioned earlier, the rear visibility, it is not the best street of the Sealion 7. As for the brake energy regeneration, there's only two settings over here. There's high and there's standard. But more importantly, there's no difference between both these regeneration settings. In fact, there's no one pedal setup here either, which was expected from BYD, but it's not given here, and that's a bit of a bummer. Secondly, it also offers all sort of ADAS equipment. In fact, it is one of the few cars, or in fact, it is one of the only car in India that also gives you the projections of the pedestrian, two-wheelers, bullock carts, and even trucks and buses onto your driver's display. It is quite a funky little feature that you usually only see in Teslas. That has been provided over here, and apart from that, it is also quite a safe car because these ADAS features, they work quite brilliantly. The ride quality, as you would expect from such a heavy car with a big battery pack, it is stiff, and it is riding on 20-inch wheels, so you do feel all the irregularities, the bumps and the creases, everything is sent inside the cabin. It's not to a point of being uncomfortable. You could actually go to places where Seal owners, they might fear to tread. Because of the slightly higher ground clearance, it is around 160 mm compared to the 140 mm that you get in the Seal. That additional ground clearance, it does give you a little bit of a more confidence for when the road starts to disappear. This is an all-wheel drive, but again, don't go off-roading with it. You can actually manage to do hard corners pretty confidently though, and overall in the city commutes, this car, it feels comfortable, has good range, and it can be your good one-car electric car garage because it can actually do it all. So the BYD Sealion 7, it comes across as a great alternative for the electric car buyers, especially in the luxury space, who couldn't get themselves to buy the Seal sedan, especially owing to its sedan body style and a low ground clearance. The Sealion 7, it solves both the problems. Overall, it is well built, it has good in-cabin experience, be it the features, the practicality, or even the build quality. It has loads and loads of features as well, and it is good to drive too, barring that stiff ride quality and that hampering rear visibility. and around 500 kilometers of realistic range, it also works in its favor. And then there's the pricing. Now when BYD will launch this Sealion 7 in India on 17th of February, we expect them to price it very aggressively, and that will pull in a lot of luxury car buyers, something that the Seal couldn't do despite being such a brilliant product. So with the Sealion 7, BYD definitely have a winner in their hand. And that's all from me in this video. Hope you liked it, and if you did, do hit that like button and share this video with those who's looking to buy a luxury SUV and they might consider the electric alternative, especially when it's such a brilliant product such as the Sealion 7. And if you have any other questions regarding the car that I didn't cover in the video, do write them down in the comment section below, and I promise we will address them all personally. This is Bilal signing off. Until next time.